Okay, what's up, advocates? Welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Claim Show, on a special edition of our Commercial Claim Show. The reason why we are shooting, and I'm shooting this video here, is really in regards to the Hawaii and to the Maui disaster that occurred on August the 8th. 2023, which was last Tuesday, and the devastation that occurred as a result. And I want to make this video just to obviously bring awareness to the event, and there is a lot of things going on in regards to saving a lot of these people, sending down supplies, and sending everything that they need so that they could be everything could be properly mitigated and they could be brought back to a normal life as soon as possible. But also as an insurance adjuster, as a public adjuster, as a very experienced insurance adjuster who's dealt with many disasters and catastrophes all around the United States, just to sort of educate you guys on some of the things that go on. Obviously, we have to shed light again on the devastation that occurred to Hawaii. I compare it a lot to a devastating hurricane. Obviously, this is different. This is fires, this is wildfires, this is major destruction. But as someone who lived through Hurricane Andrew, who lived through Hurricane Irma, who lived through Hurricane Wilma, and has worked a number of different major catastrophic hurricanes throughout the state of Florida and throughout the state of throughout the country, it's very similar in regards to just complete devastation, where people have lost absolutely everything. They've lost their homes, and they've lost all of their personal property inside of their homes, memories gone, and just sadness. You know, it's very difficult as an insurance adjuster to work these insurance claims. It's obviously very difficult as a person to live through it, but it's also very difficult as an insurance adjuster and as a rescue worker and the people going over there to help these people. It's of course very rewarding to help these people, but it's also very difficult because you're taking on a lot of their trauma. It could be mentally taxing on the people who are out there doing whatever they can to help them. The facts is that it's the deadliest disaster in the history of Hawaii, is what they're saying. The entire town of Lahaina is just gone, just completely devastated. As of today, today is Saturday, August the 12th, and 67 people are pronounced dead. Over 1,000 people are missing. Over 1,700 buildings and billions of dollars in property damage has been destroyed, and over 1,500 tourists have been taken on emergency flights away from Maui. I don't want to get away from the devastation and the loss that occurred, but again, I do want to talk about it as an insurance adjuster. So I'd like to get into a little bit about let's talk about the insurance facts and about what's going on in regards to especially the people who didn't lose completely everything. You're going to have a lot of residual damage that's going to occur to other people on the island, and maybe on an adjacent islands as well. But this also is good for people who've suffered fire damage to their home and has suffered smoke damage to their home, and some of the things that you need to make sure that you're aware of in regards to this. So, you know, one of those things is in regards to the date of loss, right? Date of loss is very important to know as to when this actual wildfire occurred in Hawaii, and that date of loss is August the 8th, 2023. Now, it's in or around that date because I believe that those wildfires were going on for a couple of days. You could have a date of loss of August the 8th. You could have a date of loss of August the 9th as well. Normally, your date of loss period is around 48 to 72 hours. So we like to say in or around this particular date. In this instance, it is August the 8th. Your cause of loss here is fire. Okay, it's going to be fire and smoke. You could also call it wildfire. I did a little bit of research and I found some definitions of what a wildfire is, and this is definitely a wildfire, what occurred in Hawaii. It's an unplanned or uncontrolled fire, regardless of how, and we're going to have the definition here, regardless of how or where the source of the fire originated, and includes all risks associated with or resulting from the fire, including but not limited to smoke, heat, soot, and fumes. Now let's get into that a little bit. Soot, I think, is a very important one, something that you find all the time. So basically what that is the residue that comes off of the fire and basically it comes off of the smoke. And when you see just that blackness, that's called soot. Now, a lot of times, depending on the severity of this fire damage or smoke damage, you may not even see it. It's actually invisible to your normal eye. You actually have to take either your finger or a cloth or something, and you have to wipe it across your white wall so that you can see if there is any soot. And a lot of times that's what happens. You go in there, you can go into the opposite side of your house, and where there was no damage and there was no smoke and there was no fire, and you could take your finger across and you will see soot damage. Okay, very, very common in fires. It's important to point that out. Wildfire also includes, but is not limited to, brush fire, which this was a brush fire that occurred, forest fire, grass fire, hill fire, vegetation fire, or escaped wildland fire, which is what this was as well. This is the true definition of a wildfire, what occurred here in Hawaii. And again, the reason why I'm doing this video is because it's super unfortunate for the people in Lahaina, and they're basically just their total loss. Like, it's just total destruction, and no amount of money, whatever the insurance policy is going to help them really recover, because they've lost all their personal belongings and probably memories from years and years and years. With that said, I've never been to Maui, so I don't know, but I don't know for certain, but I'm fairly certain that there are a lot of homes in the surrounding areas where the wildfire did not directly hit, or it partially hit and it did not devastate the entire home. Because what are you going to get? You're going to get those residual effects, which is a lot of smoke damage. A lot of smoke damage is going to be very, very common. We're experiencing something here in the US. We're getting a lot of smoke from a Canada fire. It's been very, very common in the news, where up in the Northeast, from Chicago, which is in the Midwest, to New York, it's just been, I mean, some of the photos and the images are insane. It's just like, it looks like an Armageddon. It looks all just yellow, and there's all kinds of smoke, and it's all coming from the wildfires in Canada. Interesting or not, some people are trying to claim this, and sometimes it is claimable and sometimes it's not. Because normally when we're talking about smoke, you actually have to see physical smoke inside of your house, and again, it has to cause some kind of damage. Now, what is that damage? It could be soot. It just could be, it could be mainly soot is going to get all up on your clothes. But if it's just smell, you know, it could be a hard time really fighting that with the insurance company. But with that said, smoke does carry a lot of toxins and a lot of dangerous chemicals that could really have a major effect on your health. In this wildfire, I would say, you know, and again, video damage and photographic evidence is very important to make sure if you're on the opposite side of the island and maybe there wasn't nearly as much smoke, but you know that you were in there and you could see the smoke. Honestly, take out that phone and take some video evidence, because now you've officially got smoke damage in the house, and it's either your walls and your property, things are going to have to be replaced, or at the very least, they're going to have to be cleaned, and that should be covered under your insurance policy. I think it's important to note that with a wildfire or with any fire in your house, all 4 major coverages apply. What are the 4 major coverages? Coverage A, which is your dwelling. So this is your home, and if you take it upside down, everything that's stuck to it, that's your dwelling. Coverage C, which is your personal property contents, everything that falls out. Coverage B is other structures around the property need to be included. And one of the most important is coverage D, which is your additional living expenses. So if you need to move out somewhere, and anything that's related to you having to move out of your house will be covered under the insurance. Again, in this case, if it's a wildfire that completely wipes out your home, obviously everything just gets included, total loss. And I know this from experience, guys. In Mexico Beach, after Hurricane Sally, those homes were just gone. But the adjusters still had to go out. We had to meet on the property, and we had to take a look at it. And then some insurance companies even had their adjusters actually try to take physical estimates, looking at it, just looking at the foundation of a home. It's very complicated, but fire is the same thing. You could walk in. I've had public adjusters tell me all the time, well, that's a total loss. And I'm like, well, how do you know it's a total loss? Did you actually put an estimate together? So it's just a complicated thing. You know, again, if we're talking about these houses in Lahaina where you could just see that they're wiped out, an estimate doesn't have to be provided. But if there's any question whatsoever, if there is a physical structure there, you might, as the public adjuster, the insurance adjuster, whichever side you're on, you might have to write an estimate to go beyond those policy limits just to prove those policy limits. I would say the more complicated part is not in coverage A, it is definitely in your coverage C, in your personal property, in your contents. Super, super tedious process here in going through every single line item, but it's very important that you do it. And if you are a homeowner, I would suggest that you hire a professional to help you walk through this. It's going to be so difficult automatically just putting these things together. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend getting a professional, whether it be a public adjuster or a contents expert or anybody who specializes in this, and they do take a percentage off of it. I would still do it, because what's going to happen is, again, the insurance company, they're going to want to see as much evidence as possible. They're going to want to see the comparables and how much these things are actually worth now. And if you don't provide them with actual links to Amazon, to Walmart, to different places to prove what this item actually costs now, and I'm talking about anything from a book to a toothbrush, they're going to want to know what the value of this item is, and all those things add up. And you have to not only provide the line item, but you might have to provide a photo, and you might have to provide a link to where you can actually purchase this item for the price that you are claiming. It can get very in-depth. We at Elite Resolutions, we use Exactware. We actually use the software to help us input everything so that we can provide that detailed personal property estimate to the insurance company so that we can have all the evidence presented to them correctly. But if you are a homeowner and you're trying to attempt to do this yourself, do not get upset if after you present your personal property contents to the insurance company that they don't want to cover it all, which is why you need a professional to really not only help you put it together, but to have the whole breakdown that you need to properly present it to the insurance company. That's what they're looking for. So it can be very difficult emotionally, but just very difficult, just period. So coverage A, coverage C is going to be super duper hard. Any other structures that were affected, and then your additional living expenses also have to make sure that you find a place to stay. You could, again, hire a company like one of our sponsors, Black Diamond, to help find you a place to stay, or you could just find somewhere to stay. It's usually an incurred expense, which means you have to pay out of pocket first. So if you're wondering why I'm having to pay out of pocket when I have insurance, it's an incurred expense, which means it has to be incurred, which means you have to pay first, and then you have to provide them with the bill of how much it costs, and then they will go ahead and reimburse you. I think it's important to watch out for exclusions. Unfortunately, I don't think they're prevalent in Hawaii, but not too far from Hawaii is California, and they have been suffering wildfires extensively over the last couple of years. And there have been insurance companies that have now included wildfire exclusions. As a matter of fact, the definition that I gave of a wildfire came from an exclusion on a policy. So just be aware of any kind of exclusions, especially toward wildfire. The last thing that I would want is for someone to have suffered a catastrophic loss like this, for them to think that they have coverage only to find out that they are excluded. That would be terrible. Something to keep in mind, that if you did not suffer from this loss and you're watching this video, that's an exclusion you want to be on the lookout for, especially if you live in California. And then the last thing I would say is mitigation of your damages is very important. Again, hire a professional, get a company to go in there, and if you have any kind of fire damage or smoke damage, to really properly mitigate, right? You need to not only get the fire department out there to put the fire out, but make sure that you're mitigating, setting up the proper equipment. A lot of these things are going to have to be replaced when you suffer any kind of severe smoke or fire damage, walls and drywall, and I mean, it could go all the way down to the studs. But sometimes these things are salvageable, and you need a professional company to go out there and help you do that. Sometimes your personal property and contents may be salvageable, and they need to pick all that stuff up, put it in plastic, put it in a place, properly clean it, store it, whatever it is. It's a very long process, very, very difficult process. That fire it's a whole other beast. And honestly, I feel terrible for these people in Hawaii. I actually had a friend who was in Maui when this occurred, and he's one of those 1,500 people that were flown out of Maui with his family. I'm talking my friend, his wife, and his 3 kids, all in Maui. Talk about bad luck. But luckily, him and his whole family, they are safe. But just an amazing event that occurred there. Really, really wild. And I pray for their families. My thoughts and prayers for all of their families, especially for those who've lost loved ones as a result of this. It's just a catastrophic, sad event that it's unfortunate, but these things happen all the time. And it's just, you have to be prepared. for anything, have your evacuation sites, all that stuff getting ready to go, have your insurance policies ready to go, making sure that you're just, you know, having everything maybe in a place that you could easily access it in case tornado, hurricane, fire, anything. There's just so many different possibilities these days of the catastrophic things that can occur. So again, I just wanted to shed light on what's going on there, give a little bit of tips and advice on overall wildfire and fire insurance claims and sort of all the things that you need to know. But at the end of the day, documentation and evidence is what you need, and it's always better to hire a professional in doing so. So again, thank you again for watching. I'm usually very lively, but it is what it is. But thank you for watching the Commercial Claims Show. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. We have a brand new show every single Wednesday. We're trying to get also making sure that we're doing up-to-date topics as well, like this Hawaii fire. Go to eliteresolutions.com if you have more questions. We have an amazing FAQ section to answer pretty much any of your questions that you might have in regards to insurance claims. And also, if you want to come work for us, we have an application you can fill out as well. And on Commercial Claims Advocate, if you're a fellow public adjuster, contractor, and you need some advice, you need some consulting on your insurance claims or your public adjusting firm, please reach out to us and we're happy to help with any of your needs in regards to just consulting, scaling, estimating, personal property content, stuff like that. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully the next show won't be as somber and we'll get right back to it. Guys, have an amazing week. And again, our love and prayers for all of the loved ones out there in Hawaii. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.